scattered legions made their blitz-flits from the battlefield of Alamein, they not only left their tails behind them, but lots of much more useful things. Immense supplies of equipment were salvaged, and the guns, in all stages of condition, were sent to the Royal Engineers Middle East gun shop for overhaul and repair. Skilled Egyptian craftsmen, trained by and working under the supervision of British experts, are doing fine service in this great workshop. By using components from smashed weapons, for example the barrel from one and odds and ends from others, apparently useless weapons have been reconditioned almost equal to new. Hundreds of Rommel's best guns from the Alamein battlefield are now ready to be used against their former German owners. Many indeed are already thundering on the battlefronts and proving their worth against the Axis. Rand cadet bands fall in at the Wanderers Johannesburg for a farewell parade to Colonel Van Dam, OC with command. This is also the occasion of the annual contest, and every drum and bugle shows the effect of much hard polishing as the bands try to outshine one another. The smartest cadets on parade, a boy from Witt Technical College and a boy from Athlone High, awarded equal points by the original judge. And now, music in the martial move. These are only the bands of the School Cadet Corps, but their turnout is indicative of the keenness of all Rand cadets, and there are 10,000 of them. Colonel Van Dam presents the trophies, the coveted challenge shield going to Athlone High. The runners-up were King Edward VII School.
It's no mere platitude in South Africa to say it's either a feast or a famine. So frequently during the dry season, the parched earth cries out for rain, and we husband what little water still remains. Then hope comes with the gathering clouds, and the rain falls. Will it be enough? Will it be too much? This year, the coming of the rains brought the usual reactions. First of all, the feeling of exuberance and the usual promise of well-being. It happens every year. Motorists gladly put up with flooded roads because the farmer needed the rain. The heavy and steady rains held high promise for 1955. Dams began to edge up towards the high water mark. The rain continued, and the dams began to overflow. Sluice gates were opened to relieve the pressure. We had water in plenty. But day after day, the clouds disgorged more rain, and the blessing has become a menace. Rivers threaten bridges, coming down in spate and overrunning their banks. The high promise of 1955 has been turned into one of South Africa's most bitter and costly disasters. Hope is drowned in desolation.
General Smuts, the man who helped to put commandos on the map during the South African War 40 years ago, arrives at a South African battle school to watch vigorous training of a modern commando force. And vigorous it is. The 47-foot leap marks the start of an 8-mile advance to be undertaken under the most arduous conditions, which call for qualities of fitness and skill to the highest degree. General Smuts himself revealed considerable stamina and agility in following the men as they advanced. Not the least of their problems was an attack from the air. gas alarm causes the men to whip on their masks. The advance cannot be delayed, so without a pause, the troops push on, encountering what must rank among the most difficult obstacles any commando troops have to negotiate. This tremendous test of endurance and vitality is the grand finale to a 10 weeks course. Its primary objects are not only to toughen the soldiers, but to sharpen their faculties and broaden their minds. Graphic realism is achieved as the men get their battle inoculation. The relaxation has been well and truly earned. The happiest man present is Corporal Moritz, who is awarded the trophy for being the best student on the course. But proudest of all is General Smuts himself. His boys have made good, and the spirit of the commandos lives on.
Sunsprait near Volksrust hits the nation's headlines when the Durban-Johannesburg mail train meets a down train head-on near a watering point. Some hours later, as the wreckage was being cleared, there was still mute evidence of the violence that killed 12 and injured 73. Last-second efforts were of no avail, and the two engines were locked together in a deadly embrace. A native coach took most of the force, and other casualties occurred in a coach that was derailed. It took some hours to extricate the last of the injured and the dead. Faced with this sudden emergency, medical assistance was rushed to the scene with commendable speed. Following an age-old rule of railways the world over, clearing operations were soon underway to keep this vital main line open to traffic. Much of the debris was cleared with comparative ease, but it required oxyacetylene torches to cut the engines apart. To those injured and bereft in this disaster, we tender our deepest sympathy.
Amid the ancient ruins of the Roman theatre at Leptis Magna in North Africa, a South African Army entertainment unit plays to thousands of Allied soldiers. The theatre was built in 8 BC, and it still serves its original purpose, although the acts have altered slightly since Roman days. The troops enjoyed the performance to the full, and so will you. So on with the show.
Blue champagne, purple shadows and blue champagne, with the echoes that still remain. I keep a blue rendezvous. All the plans we started, all the songs we sang, each little dream we knew seems to overtake me like a boomerang. Blue is the sparkle, gone is the tang. Each old refrain keeps returning as I remain with my memories of blue champagne to toast the dream that was you. Where's the tiger? Where's the tiger? Where's the tiger? Hold the tiger! Hold the tiger! Hold the tiger! Hold the tiger! There he is!
Probably the biggest jewel theft in history is foiled by magnificent work by the Criminal Investigation Department of the South African Police. Following night and day investigations, by far the major part of the jewel collection has been recovered. Success can be attributed to teamwork under the direction of Colonel Ulf Boberg, Divisional CID Officer of the Witwatersrand in uniform, and on the left, Captain A. Berger, Officer in charge of the CID in Johannesburg's northern areas. Others prominent in the inquiries are Detective Sergeants H.M. Badenhorst, T.J. van Rooyen, B.D. Rootman, and A.H. Reed. Detective Head Constable F.P. Kokomar rendered valuable assistance to Captain Berger and Colonel Boberg. And so too did Detective Sergeants W.J. Swart and F.N. Bellingham. Thanks to the outstanding work of this team, 3 men have been apprehended and most of the gems are safe. Callers on Colonel Boberg were Dr. Percy Utah, Chief Professional Assistant, and Mr. Paul Clausen, QC, Deputy Attorney General of the Transvaal. Among the jewelry recovered by the CID is a gold and emerald powder case, a necklace worth £14,000, and the diamond ring in the center is worth £26,000. A diamond necklet stomacher is valued at £5,000, but worth 5 times as much is a rose diamond brooch, £25,000, and a square diamond ring worth $35,000. Spectacular exhibits in a spectacular but unsuccessful crime.
United Nations Day in Cairo. The occasion is commemorated by a spectacular parade through the city's streets. No fewer than 12 of the 33 United Nations are represented. Their flags, which make a colorful contrast in design, are a striking symbol of unity. The salute is taken by the Commander-in-Chief, Middle East, General Sir Henry Maitland-Wilson. The occasion is a significant one for South Africa, for it is the first public appearance of the 6th South African Armored Division as an armored unit. Squadrons of Spitfires dip in salute. Munition workers in South Africa made these armored cars. A number have been supplied to the Greek government, and these are manned by Greek troops. The guns and other equipment which roll through Cairo's streets are a token of the United Nations' strength. The Axis will soon make their closer acquaintance. Men drawn from the 4 corners of the globe are assembled here. The New Zealanders, who were in the vanguard of the 2,000-mile advance which drove Rommel from Alamein right out of Africa. The Fighting French, heroes of the gallant stand at Bir Hakeim. The liberation of France is their next objective. 12 Norwegians, a reminder that men of the Allied nations are widely scattered in fighting this global war. The commander of the 6th Division, General Everett Poole, is there to watch his men. And here they come, South Africa's frontline troops. Fighting fit and well-trained, they're only waiting now for the moment when they can come to closer grips with the enemy. And they'll be in grand company when the day arrives. Many women's services are represented, among them members of the Union's forces. The Royal Navy is there too. After a long struggle, the Navy now holds undisputed sway over the Mediterranean. Allied convoys sail across it at will, while the Duce's fleet skulks in the precarious safety of Italian ports. United Nations Day is a great anniversary for the Allies. It marks the union of the forces of freedom, who will not rest until they have wiped the stain of Hitlerism off the face of the earth.
Willie Tawil comes out of his corner fighting when he defends his South African featherweight title against Louis Klopper in Johannesburg. Tawil's clean, solid punching had Klopper in trouble, but he was a game opponent and fought back. Yes, Louis Klopper had moments of aggression and landed solidly, but he was taking punishment too and clinched to save himself. Tawil was definitely on top, and in round 6, a fast right hook put Klopper down. He rose immediately and they boxed on. Still dazed, Klopper found Willie Tawil in a relentless mood and the champion went in deliberately to finish the fight. That educated left hook was doing the damage, and in round 7 it sent a leg-weary Louis Clopper down and out. Saved from the count by the gong, Clopper had had enough, and his seconds wisely conceded the fight. So Willie Tawil is still the South African featherweight champion.
From the controlled North African airfield are spotted silver wings flashing against blue desert sky. A silver lodestar with an important passenger, Field Marshal Smuts, breaking his journey to Britain. Major General Turon and Major General Poole are at the airfield to meet the Flying Field Marshal. Others present are the Crown Prince and Princess of Greece, Mr. Richard Casey, Minister of State in the Middle East, and Air Chief Marshal Sir Sholto Douglas, Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Middle East. Lieutenant General Sir Pierre van Reineveld, Chief of General Staff, comes with the Premier from the Union. Wearing the black beret of Springbok tankmen and accompanied by Sir Pierre van Reineveld and General Poole, the Field Marshal pays a visit to the 6th Division. Addressing massed ranks of South African and Rhodesian fighting men, he reminds them that the most bitter fighting is yet to come. Wipe from your minds the illusion that the war is nearing its end, he tells them. The bloodiest battles still lie ahead. Field Marshal Smuts then mounts a Sherman tank for South African armored unit. Seated on the turret with a powerful 75mm cannon for a footrest, the Commander-in-Chief reviews his troops, fighters of the veldt training in the desert for battles further afield. Back at the saluting base, the Obas watches the Springboks march smartly by. His presence is a tonic to the troops, a stimulating assurance that their long months of training will not be for nothing. And as the men swing past their great leader, they are determined more than ever that the 6th Armored Division will add further glory to South Africa's grand tradition. Prime Minister renews acquaintance with Captain Leif Egland, former Member of Parliament. But the proudest man today is the driver of the tank from which the Field Marshal reviewed his troops. South Africa is proud too. Proud that this world-acclaimed military commander and statesman is above all our beloved Obas.
The Krugersdorp Town Hall is almost shaken off its foundations as the West Rond Jive Club slams out the beat. Charity is getting the proceeds of the competition, and the competitors are getting their fair share of exercise. And so, for that matter, are the spectators. Things got really hot and humid around here. They melted 2 trumpets and a trombone. And some of these youngsters put up a display of footwork that would make Stanley Matthews look like he was sitting down. Glory be, what would Grandpapa and Grandmama say about such cavortings and caperings? Don't ask me, just rub your eyes and ask them.
Soviet praise for the Allied armies. North African pictures taken from a Russian newsreel. commentator retells the story of the Desert Campaign and pays tribute to Springbok Quinton Smythe, receiving his VC from the late Dan Pienaar.
Генерал Морских, командующий австралийскими войсками, вручает высшую воинскую награду Крест Виктории сержанту Смит.
Reciprocating Soviet homage to a Springbok hero, South Africa salutes the brave men of the USSR. Stoic soldiers of the snows, they are fighting and winning the toughest victories in history. From an army on the defensive, the Russians have become a relentless attacking force, smashing down all obstacles. And still they push on, their pace never slackening. On the vast white stretches of Russia is written a saga of hard-won triumphs and suffering bravely borne. The ineffaceable story of a people who refuse defeat. Flames of retribution eat up a Nazi juggernaut. And here, eloquent in the icy silence, a bitter sermon in red snow. Typifying the fighting spirit of Soviet womenfolk, a smiling guerrilla girl leads in a band of Nazi prisoners. The super race finds cold comfort in its superiority. But even with the temperature dropping and their country torn by war, the Russians find time to celebrate Christmas. Time to remember the creed which the Prussian tyrants are trying to shatter. Peace and goodwill among men. There are not many evidences of peace this year, even on Christmas cards, but there are many signs of goodwill. Letters from home, parcels from home, presents from folk in the neighboring villages. War has ravaged these parts, but what little the people have, they share with the troops. In towns further behind the lines, there are scenes of almost pre-war gaiety. For the Russian children, there is still laughter and play at Christmas time. But the grim war calls. Winter offensive. Yesterday's Christmas trees are today's camouflage. Above the desolate fields in their white battle dress, the Red Air Force is master of the skies. Another victory, another town recaptured. Hitler's specially selected divisions take another blow. Blasted, wrecked, here is the skeleton of a town. To us, it is an unpronounceable name printed on the map in small type. To these people, it is home. And from their underground shelters, they return to start a new life. Beside the skeleton of a town, we see the ghost of an army. Here lie Hitler's golden dreams, mangled and smashed. Tanks, guns and equipment, part of his once all-conquering hell machine. Another full stop on the trail of ruin. Stark evidence of Russia's mighty blows against our common foe. And here, a graveyard of the Luftwaffe, once lofty birds of prey, that will never fly and bomb again. Goering's eagles have shrouds of snow. Prisoners of war, long treks of disillusion, Huns and their satellites beaten into submission. Winter becomes spring, heralding the spring offensive. In this setting, the Nazi is doomed. Russian stamina, Russian wrath, and Russian will to win are rolling on to new triumphs and new victories.
Coming up next, the Satellite File Newsfeed.